1 year ago, I challenged myself to interview over 50 carnivore experts. This is over 1,000 hours of carnivore information packed into 15 minutes that you need to know. And I promise you, this is the only carnivore video that you need to watch, so you could probably just close your YouTube account. My journey started with my first interview with Dr. Anthony Chaffee. I was so nervous. I said his name wrong, Dr. Chaffee. Now, how on earth did I get his name wrong? Couldn't I have just Googled his name to get it right? But that first interview, I learned a lot. Vegetables are pretty bad for us. And back then I was eating so much salads, so much vegetables, so much lean meat, thinking that that was good for us. But Dr. Chaffee said this, which changed everything.
I don't eat salad. I don't eat vegetables. Plants are trying to kill you. This is pretty wild. We're told that vegetables are really good for us. Vegetables had carcinogens in them. Plants protect themselves by using chemical deterrent. 136 known human carcinogens in Brussels sprouts alone.
So after that, I just stopped eating vegetables and I was still able to go to the bathroom every single day. And fun fact, did you know that carnivores fart less than vegans? But I still had an issue with carnivore. I wanted to know if I would get gout, get cancer, or die from eating so much red meat. At least that's what my friends and family kept telling me. So I went to the godfather of carnivore, Dr. Shawn Baker, to find out if they were right.
Difficult diseases that would never get better. You know, it could be psoriasis, inflammatory bowel disease like Crohn's disease, or also colitis. I had a guy with Tourette syndrome the other day.
And anytime that somebody would ask me about evidence for carnivore, I'll just show them this.
Every single study that looks at a carnivore diet shows positive results. The study that Harvard University did, 2,029 people going on a carnivore diet ranging from 6 months to 28 years. And across the board, people got healthier. 262 diabetics, which were in that cohort. 92% of them came off insulin. 100% of them came off all their injectable medications. 84% come off all of their oral medications. They lost weight. They got leaner.
And it didn't even stop there. Dr. Philip Overton, a cardiac heart surgeon, was adamant that saturated fat does not cause heart disease, cancer, gout, or any disease for that matter. And actually, when I interviewed him, he was quite frustrated that so many doctors out there are telling us otherwise.
It is clear that saturated fat is not harmful to our health. The American Heart Association, the US dietary guidelines, quietly taken the restrictions on saturated fat out of their recommendations. Most physicians haven't gotten that message. Red meat causing heart disease, cancer, all of these things are simply not founded in science. It frustrates me that we still have to argue against what was never a well-founded hypothesis in the first place.
Now, even after speaking to all these experts, I was still confused because probably like you, we see Dr. Paul Saladino saying fruit, raw milk, and honey is so good for us. So I didn't know what I should be doing on carnivore. So I just went back to Dr. Chaffee to get the lowdown on fruit.
Fructose causes long-term and short-term harm. Long-term being like metabolic disease, puts us into a fat-storing metabolism as opposed to a fat-burning metabolism. Fructose independently blocks leptin and increases the effects of ghrelin, which makes us feel that we're hungry. And so we tend to overeat.
Now, I don't think that you have to be that extreme like Dr. Chaffee, no fruit, Dr. Paul Saladino, loads of fruit. I think you have to find out what works for you and your metabolic flexibility. So for me, I just realized no sweetness, no fruit, no raw honey, no milk. But in the first few days, I experienced my first side effect from doing carnivore. And probably this is why most people would actually stop doing carnivore. This probably is a bit TMI, but I would be running to the bathroom every few hours with explosive diarrhea. And I didn't know what it was from. I just thought, look, probably carnivore is not for me. I had no idea why this was happening. Thank goodness at the same time I met Elliot Overton and he helped me understand why.
People who go on carnivorous diets, they feel great to start off with, and then all of a sudden they get like severe chronic diarrhea or they get severe joint pain or something like that. Oftentimes it's because they're dumping oxalate. It's what they're not eating that is causing their body to release this stuff.
So it could have been the oxalate dumping, and oxalates are in so many foods like
a staple for many people, which is spinach, cacao, or chocolate. Many of the grains, the beans, the legumes, many vegetables, including sweet potatoes, certain fruits such as kiwi fruit, many of the berries like blackberries, nut milks, cumin, turmeric, cinnamon, black pepper.
Well, that's great. I was eating all these foods like kale, spinach, cacao, all these healthy keto foods for the last 10 years. No wonder I was feeling like crap, but Elliot was saying that you have to follow a low oxalate diet for a period of time to dump all these oxalates. And for me, I like to keep it really simple. So I just did beef, butter, bacon, and eggs just for a while. And slowly over time, the diarrhea went away. Now, the next interview with Kelly Hogan changed everything for me. Seriously, I'm not just saying it. I could almost hear myself in her story.
Even in high school, I would yo-yo diet and I would starve down and eat almost nothing until I couldn't take it. And then I would binge. I really had tried some plant-based stuff. I tried low fat. I tried calorie restricting. I tried so much exercise. Nothing was helping. It's the carbs.
I had the exact same struggle, night eating syndrome, binge eating, all coming from carbs and sugar. But she said this, that changed the way I did carnivore forever.
I was not eating enough fat. Ladies, if you're watching this right now, please eat the fatty meat. Keeping out sugar and carbs, that is awesome, but eat fatty meat.
So I just started to eat a lot more fatty meat, and I never used to eat fatty meat. I used to always choose the leaner cuts, and for me that worked. My sleep improved, my focus improved, everything got better when I upped my fat. And it wasn't just that. She mentioned sweeteners. Avoid the sweeteners at all costs. Anything sweet, even if it doesn't have calories, we need to avoid it. But it was not just Kelly Hogan that completely changed my life. I also met Stephanie Person. Now, she's quite a controversial figure, but she said something that I was doing wrong for literally 10 years.
This idea of longer windows of not eating and then 1 meal a day, like none of this makes any sense. Food is medicine and food is energy. Hunter-gatherers only fasted because there was no food. They didn't intentionally fast.
So based on what Stephanie said, I stopped fasting, and it was the best thing that I could have ever done, along with eating more fatty meat. But I used to fast so much, doing 18-hour fast, 20-hour fast, even prolonged fasting, because I heard so many experts talking about autophagy, all these healing benefits from doing these long-term fasts. But for me, I was pushing myself, and I know for a lot of you as well, you could also be experiencing the same thing. But Stephanie explained why sometimes fasting is not the best for us.
People try to fast today, they have wrecked gut, so they have a propensity to always have cortisol production.
And yes, that was me. I had a wrecked gut from decades of eating vegetables, too much fiber, too much sweeteners. I would eat so much cacao, spinach, smoothies, all these things wrecking my internal gut. No wonder I could not fast. But she also said something else, because I know we spoke about increasing the fat from Kelly Hogan. She was talking about this much fat, to eat this to get so many benefits. I was shocked.
So when you're saying how much fat do you eat to signal lipolysis and the breaking down of fat to be used, it should be 200 grams of fat.
200 grams of fat. Even for me, I was thinking, I'm going to get fat from eating all this fat. But Dr. Bright assured me I'm not going to get fat, and you're not going to get fat from eating that much fat.
Fat doesn't make you fat. It's your body holding on to energy because there's a stress issue. Carbohydrates are entertainment. They're not nutrition.
And with my interview with Dr. Bright, this is where it got really interesting. She spoke about how women can increase their sex drive from increasing their fat. And did you know that a lot of women cannot orgasm? So she said this about high fat and women's sex drive.
90% of women cannot have orgasm if cortisol levels are high or low. Orgasm will be difficult because you're in a stress response. The high fat lowers the cortisol if it's high, replenishes the cortisol if it's low.
And this is not just with women. I'm going to do another interview with Dr. Bright in January talking about high fat and men's health. Not because my partner can't get it up, but that's going to come out in January. So if you want to see it, make sure that you subscribe. Now, high fat is so important for everything, and it completely changed how I was eating. And now I'm eating close to 1 stick of butter a day. Yes, I'm doing that every single day, but I'm doing it in a way that I never thought before. And I basically just followed what Dr. Bright had to say.
We start the morning with a decaf with several tablespoons of butter. I snack on butter during my appointments.
So I'm doing the same thing, a fatty latte every single morning. Sometimes I want to have 2, but I only keep myself to having 1. I make brown butter bites. I also snack on butter. Anytime I have a craving, I'll just get a slither of butter, put it into my mouth, and oh my God, it just satisfies the craving. Now, I know what's going through your mind. You're probably thinking, 1 stick of butter a day, isn't that too many calories? Thank goodness for Professor Bart Kay, because he explained why calories are pointless, absurd, and why we should not even care about calories.
Calories are specifically and explicitly a measurement of the release of heat energy when you rapidly burn a food substance inside a closed thermodynamic system called a bomb calorimeter. Is that what your body does with food when you eat it? No, it isn't. Does your body encapsulate heat energy and use that for metabolic process? No, it doesn't. It uses chemical energy.
And even the fabulous Coach Bronson said the exact same thing about calories.
From a calorie perspective, calories are pointless. Don't track calories. They're useless. Doing anything based off of ratios or percentages of calories is also pointless. The amount of fat that your body needs and the amount of protein that your body needs has absolutely nothing to do with each other. And you should not be tying the two together.
Now, what is so much more fascinating is that with a carnivore diet, a high-fat carnivore diet, we can actually build muscle and lose fat at the same time. And this is exactly what Coach Bronson was talking about.
I think everybody should be at least 1 gram per pound of lean mass at a minimum. And then anything above that is fantastic. I'd never tell anybody to limit their protein. I like to start people at 1 gram per pound of lean mass for fat as well. And then we can go up or down based on how their body responds.
So I just followed exactly what Coach Bronson had to say. 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass at a minimum, 1 gram of fat per pound of lean body mass at a maximum. And I got the most amazing results. It's only been a few weeks, but seriously, I am shocked. And Coach Bronson and I are also going to teach you this entire program in the 60-day fat loss program. I will leave a link right here so that you can join. It is going to be amazing. And the last lesson that I learned, which might be the most important, was from Dr. Robert Kiltz. He was talking about it's not just what we eat, it's how we think, and why mindset and faith is so important.
Faith is all you need. But for so many of us in this modern world, we've lost faith. You need to understand God. See, everyone thinks God is out there. The master is right here because the brain creates everything in your life.
As Dr. Kiltz says, the master is within us. We have so much control of what we eat, what we think, and how we live our lives to create the best life possible. Now, I plan on interviewing another 50 carnivore experts in 2023. Do let me know who you'd like me to interview down in the comments. I hope you loved all this interview, jam-packed with information. Make sure that you subscribe to see upcoming interviews, and I'll see you really soon. Bye.